Inti Raymi was the Incas' most important religious ceremony, and on the 23rd of June each year, the people of Cusco still celebrate this festival of the sun. For hundreds of years, the Incas controlled a highly organized and complex empire which stretched 3,500 kilometers, almost the entire length of the Andean mountain chain. In 1532, this came to an abrupt end when Pizarro, the Spanish conquistador, marched his army into Cusco to destroy one of the greatest planned societies the world had known. The invaders banned all religious rituals, and it was not until 400 years later that they allowed the Festival of the Sun to take place again. This is the ceremony we see today, but the true Incas take no part and will not acknowledge it. Ironically, it is soldiers of mixed blood, descendants of the Spanish conquerors who put on Inca robes, play their instruments and act out the pageant for the tourists.
Kasimita pikamainin ko tahuntanan ko pa. Ati painiyo kinti taita. Kausaini ko pipasaklata ko yay kuway ko. Makikiwang yan na paway ko. Amatak ka jariway ko tuhay ka.
When Pizarro arrived, he found a well-established kingdom under firm authoritarian rule. Highly organized farming ensured a well-fed population that spoke the same language and lived under a common legal and economic structure. Great cities of stone were linked by a system of roads through the inhospitable Andes, far better than any in medieval Europe. In the comprehensive Spanish chronicles, there is no record of Machu Picchu. It was hidden from the world by jungle until this century. The mysteries remain. Why was it abandoned? Was it the last stronghold of the Inca priests? And did any survive its evacuation? But if they did, where are they today?
Kolor teringgi, ring kita itu anjis bang. Bila tas kiki ki apa kongki, makiki wang anca kamunki. Aslo entiendes.
My first contact with the Andean people of Peru was here, in the sacred valley of the Incas, near Cusco. That was in 1978, and since then I have spent much of my life among them. In some ways, I feel more at home here than in England. In June 1992, I decided to travel high into the Andes in search of the Qeros, the lost community of pure Incas. Before a journey, it is customary in this culture to give offerings to the sacred mountains, or apus in the Quechua language, so they will protect the travelers. Coca leaves, sweets, seashells and herbs are among the ingredients in this important ceremony. The expedition then carries the prepared offering on the journey until finally it is given to the last apu.
Ya, ¿tu Cuscaña? Un abrazo. Ya. Gracias.
Blancho, buenas.
Ya está, ya.
Y después la máquina de filmador, la caja va encima de esa, ¿no? Podemos probar eso.
I first heard of the Qeros in 1983, and since then I made 2 unsuccessful attempts to reach them, but this time I was better prepared.
Mete, primero. Juan.
When he eventually returned, he had a large and promising smile on his face.
Entonces, ¿cuántos caballos tenemos en total? 7 y 4, compadre, ¿ya?
11
caballos.
11. Entonces, ¿cómo vamos a hacerlo? Dos más para montar, ¿sí?
2 para montar.
Thank you.
Vilcacunga in the late afternoon. The earth was frozen solid. As we approached the community of a few stone houses, two boys ran up carrying potatoes still hot from an earth oven. A warm welcome in a cold land.
Gracias. Gracias, gracias.
In this hostile terrain, plants grow no higher than a few inches. It is a sparse vegetation perfectly suited for the llamas and alpacas. These and potatoes are the only means of survival for the local population of 6 families. In the morning, as the herdsman drives alpacas and llamas to the high pastures, which have been thawed by the early sun, we set off for our steepest climb yet. According to Inca legend, the Spaniards, in pursuit of the Inca priests, reached this pass at 5,000 meters and killed many of the Inca bloodline, but a few managed to survive by using their supernatural powers. We reached the battle site, our first high pass, a route which is cut off by snow for 9 months of the year, and made our offerings of alcohol and sacred coca leaves to the 3 mountain gods, or Apus. Apu Ausangati, Apu Wamanripa, and Apu Sulcantai.
Pachamama. Pachamama.
Pakai ko na just.
Salud, compadre.
Salud, compadre.
Salud, Juan. Salud, Salcatay. Las Apus, ahatun Qero. Salud, papá.
We began the 2,000-meter descent towards the place we were seeking, Atun Qero, the ritual site of the Qeros and their priests. Looking across this landscape, I realized how the Qeros culture had remained intact over the last 500 years. Only one other crew had tried to film these people. They had not been made welcome and had returned with broken cameras. I wonder how we would be received. The Inca universe is made up of 3 worlds: Hanak Pacha, the cosmos; Kai Pacha, the surface of the earth; and Oku Pacha, the interior of our planet. The Incas see this as a harmonious system that has no end. On leaving this earth, we rise into the cosmos, then descend into the earth. Pachamama, Mother Earth, through the power of the Apus, bring us all back to this world. If we disturb this harmony, the Apus will cause all beings to suffer. From Earth, the Apus reach out to the stars and bring back snows which will form sacred lakes. The Incas do not believe that man owns the mountains, lakes, or earth. On the contrary, all things are part of one complex being. They describe the balance within this system as Hanan and Hairan. Like the Chinese concept of yin and yang, everything exists in complementary pairs, man and woman, day and night, heaven on earth. During the early hours of the following days, we reached Qero. This is the ceremonial center of all Qeros. Normally, they live in 8 other villages scattered high up in the mountains. By sheer luck, when we arrived, this ritual site was alive with people. They had all gathered here for their annual assembly. In my broken Quechua, the Inca language, I asked each AU's representative for permission for us to travel through the valleys and film their lives. They listened to our proposition with hard faces, and for the second time on this journey, we wondered whether the project would fail. As is customary, I invited them to a handful of coca leaves. In Inca culture, coca leaves are sacred and play a vital role both in everyday life and in sacred rituals. Priests use them to communicate with the Apus, and Watoks, the medicine men, use them for healing and to predict the future. During meetings, members of the assembly chew the leaves to clear their minds of doubt and to help them make the right choice. We shared a meal of potatoes and corn with them before we were asked to wait for their decision as to whether we would be able to stay or not. The wait was not easy. We felt an atmosphere of mistrust. But when we rejoined the meeting, they told us that the Apus were on our side and would allow us to stay.
Gracias, señor presidente. Gracias. Ya está, profesor. Hasta quichas una para asamblea artista.
I recorded the happy event with a Polaroid camera. This was the first time that they had seen photographs of themselves.
Zumba. Chiri. Alianza. Ali.
The Qeros are fully self-sufficient and practically make everything they need using the simplest of tools. In Inca vocabulary, there is no word for lock, but they make a simple wooden device which is used to keep animals out of their houses, since they leave them empty most of the year. They are renowned for their fine textiles. The symbols woven into the cloth represent their religious beliefs and aspects of everyday life. This is particularly important as they have no written language. These symbols are unique to the Qeros. All other Andean communities use motifs influenced by the Spanish.
Imata dibujas, simbolismo, mamá.
Chile.
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 Chile. Chile.
Jaipe.
Chile.
Chile.
Chile. Kika choncho.
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 Imaita choncho.
Angi kika choncho. Ki.
Ay, ay. Imaita. Imata es.
Anji chileche. Kicha intiche.
Ya, ya. Inti. Imaita con inti.
Angiche.
Echa, i. Ay, ay, ay. Inti.
Llamas are the Qeros' best friends. When someone dies, they are buried with a small ceramic llama to accompany them to Hanak Pacha, the upper world. Their wool is essential for clothing. Their meat is eaten and the fat used for offerings and candles. Robe, shoes and bedding come from their skins. As they are sure-footed, they provide a vital means of moving wood up from the forests and carrying potatoes from the fields. The Qeros believe that they are the last Inca descendants of the Inca rulers, who are the sons of the Inti, the sun god, as their spiritual chief explains.
Nunca Espírito Santo na bomanya to kumsumana intia ko punsiu. Sinambar na ko na kila intia ko. Inta ke dusun so pakal tim famuda kalir permani ki. Ki mo to pana bakha ki ana kila intin ko. Si tempo ko na pakal. Incas nakawala to koy kasi kinukoy ko. Incas nakchoring. Ispare ito na takar kang Incas santo. Di ba ang puri ko yung tap may taps puri mi. Sebang ya chay ko mataps. Mana chay man yang kang kumunda katsuan. Inantin bips Inca mangka Qerope ka Inca pon. Inca huawa. Inca kuna kapuring sa ibang talipong kuskulak tama may inantin tapurimor ka. Chay la chay.
Then they moved to 4,500 meters to prepare the land for potatoes, of which they grow 107 varieties. Before digging the earth, they wrap seed potatoes in coca leaves and bury them gently in the ground, saying, Pachamama, I put the seeds in you. Keep them warm and away from the frost and multiply them, as my survival depends on your kindness. In May and June, they harvest their potatoes. The whole family helps. Then the surplus is used to make freeze-dried potatoes known as chuño. This is done by leaving the potatoes out during the night to freeze and walking all over them the following morning to squeeze out moisture. This process is repeated over several days and nights until the potatoes are perfectly dried. They can then be stored for many years. The rest of the year they spend in their ayllus at 4,800 meters, where they herd alpacas and llamas. They live at a higher altitude than any other people on Earth. Pago is an offering made from coca leaves and 6 other ingredients. It helps man to communicate with the mountain gods and Mother Earth. The Qero priest who talks to the mountain is chosen and trained from an early age. With the chanting of the women's voices and the music of the Inca flutes echoing in our heads, we left the high peak of Huamanripa, the sacred mountain. The celebration of the greatness of the Apus had lifted our spirits. The coca leaves and alcohol we had consumed the night before must have kept us alive in the sub-zero temperatures of our overnight camp at 5,000 meters. It was late afternoon when we saw Cochomojo, the last ayllu. The houses below seemed to float in thick mist in the depth of the valley. Each day, at the same time, the clouds rise from the steamy Amazon jungle to hide this remote and mysterious place. Upon our arrival, I was asked to cut a little girl's hair. In this culture, cutting one's hair for the first time is a ritual which goes back several centuries. These locks of hair are then wrapped with coca leaves in a specially woven cloth, uncuña, which is kept until her death and will accompany her to Anak Pacha, the upper world. The Qeros live their lives through the spirit of the Incas, Incari. It is their religious duty to revere the Incari. According to them, the head of the last Inca is buried in this valley. They are waiting for his return, when Inti, the sun god, will send Incari to rule the kingdom of the Incas. This deeply held belief is the origin of the Qeros' greatest religious ceremony, when they take the spirit of the Inca to the highest peak of the Coyoriti mountain at 5,800 meters, the highest religious festival in the world. There is confusion surrounding the origins of this ceremony.
Inca, manca, señor Tasca, ring, erukuna, liping, manta, biusta, bajaspa, orinco. Estrella nos patas que con los de pejón, se suerte tamasque, Inca, y la chirique, estrellero. Mayor. Sepe tocó yachang, señor Julio Tepe, es que aún estrellado. Para. Anak pachape, señor Julio Tepe, monta 15, es que jamón, sepe. Dios para morir, es que para. Señor Julio Tepe.
Haika akudu akoiriti.
¿Nanangi?
Akoiriti.
¿Coyerte?
Sí.
Pajari.
Pajari, sí.
Pajari.
The Coyoriti festival must coincide with the full moon of every May or June. Each Ayu is represented by a group of Qeros, especially chosen months in advance. Our group will dance, drink and sing on a week-long pilgrimage. Some take care of food, drink and coca leaves.
que Inca la tamana chi Inca takeo jure ku ko yo kam chonchu música pe chi tak taitan man puri mani anki tokana Inca takeo música oña trai pito pe pompo pe cajape chi oña chonchu tosos pe que khoklas je.
The ukukus, dressed as black bears, carry the spirit of the Inca, and the dancers, in colorful costumes, wear headdresses of parrot feathers. These show off their prowess as hunters who have risked the pumas of the jungle to gain their prized decorations. At this historic site, Qeros come to join other indigenous groups who come not only from Peru but also as far as Bolivia. They set up their camp in stone circles where their ancestors have camped for centuries. From here, they look down upon some 100,000 people. They will watch them very carefully, but will neither join nor communicate with them. They blow their pututus to announce their arrival to the world. Down below, the people of mixed Andean and Christian culture continue their own separate processions. They've come to worship Christ, not Incari. This Christian event still makes concessions to its Inca origins, but remains unaware of the Qeros high above. People have made great pilgrimages from all over the high Andean plateau. None of the sacred festival has resisted the power of the church. The dates remain the same, but by changing their names and imposing the cross on these ancient rituals, Christianity has usurped the Incas' religious calendar. Qeros will neither mix nor make concessions. They have brought the spirit of the Inca, and tonight, under the full moon, they will climb to 5,730 meters, the domain of the greatest Apus. For the Qeros, though, it is imperative that they reach the highest of peaks above and beyond the cross. For it is their deepest held belief that by so doing, they are reaching the spirit of Incari, which will flow down through the crosses, spreading out over the sacred Apus and embracing the four corners of the Inca kingdom.